In this video, I will discuss how you can write inequalities from a given graph. When writing inequalities, we have three parts. The variable, which could be any variable you wish. The most common one is x, but you could use r, t, z, whatever letter you want to use. The next component is going to be the inequality symbol, which goes in the middle. And the last one is going to be the number, which will go on the right. So the next thing I do after writing down what variable I want to use, I always go ahead and figure out what number is going to be on the other side of the inequality. That number is always going to be where your open or closed dot is, in this case, -1. Now the last thing we have to do is just figure out what the inequality symbol is going to be. Because at -1 we have a closed dot, that means we're going to have that line underneath our inequality symbol, meaning the symbol we're going to use is either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Now you want to determine, is it going to be less than or greater than? Think about what is shaded. We're shaded to the left of -1. All those numbers are smaller than -1 or less than, which means we want to put that less than symbol in there. To rewrite this a little more nicely, we could just write it as x is less than or equal to -1. And that is the inequality for this given graph. For this next example, again, we always want to start with a variable. I always like to use x because that's the most common variable. Now we determine what number is going to be on the right-hand side of the inequality. Again, that's always the number where our dot is. So in this case, 0. And now we want to figure out what our inequality symbol is going to be. Because it's an open dot, we won't have the line underneath the inequality symbol, so it will either be less than or greater than. Because we're shaded to the right, all of those values are bigger than 0, which means that x is going to be greater than 0, because any one of those numbers, if you plugged it in for x, would make the equation true. 1 is greater than 0, 2 is greater than 0, and so on. So that's the inequality for this given graph. With this next example, again, we're going to start with our variable. I'm going to mix it up and use t. And because our dot is at -4, -4 is going to be on the right-hand side of our inequality. Now we have to figure out what symbol we're going to use. Because we're shading to the right of -4, that means that all of those numbers are greater than -4. So we want to use the greater than symbol. But then we don't want to forget, do we have to include that little line underneath to show that we're including -4? Because we have a closed dot at -4, we want to put that or equal to line underneath the greater than sign, because that means we're including -4. So the inequality for this example is t is greater than or equal to -4. For this last example, I'm going to use the variable r. And because our dot is at +2, +2 is going to be on the right-hand side of our inequality. And because we're shading to the left, all of the numbers to the left of 2 are smaller than 2, which means that we want to use the less than symbol. Because any number you plug in, say we plug in 0, 0 is less than 2, so that would be included in the solution. But do we have to include 2? Well, because we have an open circle at 2, we don't actually need to put that line underneath the less than symbol, because that's only if you have a closed dot. So r is less than 2 is going to be the inequality for this graph. And that is how you write inequalities from a graph.